Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to your away day guide with Amy. Don't forget, hit subscribe, like the video, and you can support us through Ko-Fi. Link is in the description and in the chat. So, our second attempt at doing this introduction. The first time was done last week before it all kicked off. So let's not waste any time. I've redone the second intro. Let's get into the away day guide. Enjoy, and hopefully we'll bring back 3 points this week. I'm gonna give you a little bit of faith in the Wigan game because we're unbeaten in the last 5, 3 wins, 2 draws, as you will now see on the screen with the use of editing technology. I haven't yet got the graphic, but by the time this goes out,
we'll add it
in. Yeah. We've conceded 1 goal, as you can see, and we've scored 7 goals. So, are you feeling more confident as you head into the Wigan fixture, knowing that? Are you one that puts a lot of stock by the previous 5?
Honestly, no, because Wigan is one of the ones that I've been really, really nervous about for a while. As you know, coming up, we've got our chat with Angela, who is a Wigan fan.
Yeah.
And I think ever since we spoke to her, I've just been feeling really nervous about this game. This game is one of the ones that was first ticked off when the fixture list came out for me. It's a big one. I'm really looking forward to it as a day out, as an away day, but as a football team and us going there. Their form this year, how well they've been doing under their new manager. I just feel like, and I feel nervous about playing them, and not just that. I just think there's so much history. Cook going up against him. Against it is Richardson, isn't it?
Yep, Liam Richardson. Yeah.
Cook and Richardson. This is going to be. I'm imagining the media are going to love this. Those two playing each other. From our point of view, do we wish that we'd had him alongside Cook? Yes, I think most of us would say yes. Is he our missing ingredient this season? I've got a bad feeling that Saturday is going to prove us all right, and perhaps kick Cook in the bottom. I don't know whether the club whether we originally intended for Richardson to be coming as well. I don't know, but I just feel like the end of this story is not going to end. It's not going to be a happy one, is it? So...
Well, let's keep it positive. Let's keep it positive. But I am in your camp. Yeah. Now we do a thing on the show, obviously ex-players, but you bring some players and we try and list you who we feel. How many have you got us to, or how many do you feel we should list this week? How many have you got on your cheat sheet?
Right, you wait for this. I found when I was Googling to make sure I hadn't missed anyone, I picked out, I think, 6.
6?
And then I had a couple of clues for a few others that made me think 3 more. So I've got 9 on my list.
Flipping heck.
But
so 9 players to find this week.
There's a quiz. I will share the link after the show goes out on the Wigan website. And they have picked out 39 former players that have been at both teams. I was like, what? But it's a really brilliant quiz because it gives you clues, and it was those clues that nudged me for 3 more on top of the ones that I'd already remembered. Obviously the one that jumps out first, the most obvious one, is our current captain, Mr. Morsey. So I think that's going to be interesting seeing him going back there.
And you've got Evans as well.
Yep, absolutely.
So that's 2 of the 9. Up until that point there, all I could remember was Nathan Anderson.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's the only one I had that was coming to my mind. But now you've said it, Morsey, Evans, Tony Dinning. I'm obviously Nathan Anderson. That's 4. I can name 4 of the 9. I wonder how the chat is getting on. Let us know in the comments what you feel. Wow.
There's someone else who has been at both and is still involved, still at Ipswich now. That's been at both.
So we've got Will Keane. So that's 5 of the 9. 5 that I can give you. Will Keane.
Yep, I got him.
Somebody's at Wigan now.
He's with us now. And
he's with us now.
Both. Yeah.
Okay, let me think about this. Wigan with us now. And he's a player, right? Not a coach or anything like that.
I was just going to say he's not on field. He's off field.
Okay, Gary Roberts.
Yeah, that just made it really obvious, didn't it?
It did. But you're right. I was thinking, I'm going to have to ask because it might have been a coach and not a player. God, this is a hard one. I can't believe it's 39.
That's
That
crazy. I couldn't
seems
believe that. The
mental.
person who researched that must have had nothing to do for about a week to have been able to work it out. But there's some great clues in there. So I really enjoyed trying to figure out that one. And I'm sure those of you who have a better memory or perhaps were around a bit longer than I've been will definitely remember some of those names. And some of them that popped up, I was like, oh yeah. So
yeah. Yeah, I'm sure I'll
Really
do
nice.
the same when I'm reading the comments coming through.
I'll share that link. So how many did you get? 4?
5.
5. Okay, so the audience have got 5 to beat then.
Yeah,
Let's
that
see how
shouldn't
many
be too
Crunch
hard
can
for
come up
them.
with, shall we?
Oh yeah, they'll come up with loads. They always do. Nick Muller's another good one. He knows his players.
Oh yeah, Nick does. Yeah.
But it's not just players, is it, that we've got a shared history with? It's also managers, as we've been just saying. You've got obviously the Cook and Richardson situation. Anybody else? I know one man springs to mind.
Yep, same as Mr. Paul Jewell.
Oh,
Perhaps
yes.
had his greatest success. Do you reckon? Would you say there?
I'd have thought so. Well,
I think.
other than being the team with the lowest points in the Premier League with Derby, I think.
Yeah, which is quite an achievement.
And still spoken about to this day.
Yeah, that's true. Mind you, so's our 9-0 defeat to Manchester United, so we can't really talk, can we?
History, mate. Game changers. That's what we are. Yes, every time there's an 8-goal thriller on in the Premier League, you know about it because on Twitter it's like hashtag free the Ipswich 9. You're like, okay, who's getting hammered this week? It's the only time I ever know someone's getting a right royal hiding.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's on Twitter trending.
Free the Ipswich
hashtag
9.
free the Ipswich 9. You're like, who's coming
Which
close?
score is that? Which game is that one now?
Which
I love
top
it.
team's going to let us down by not scoring 9 this week? Talking of which, the England ladies last night, Amy, 20
Absolutely cracking, absolutely amazing. I think I'd seen a few people say, "Oh, it shows must have been an awful game." But it's like, oh, come on, we'd all love to be part of a 20-0 win, wouldn't we?
Yeah,
I think that would be great fun. Good on them. Good on them.
You don't often get that because obviously normally after a certain score, it cools down. Teams feel sorry for each other, or they slow down their scoring. They go more to game possession based. That's like an actual computer game score where it's just done but purely off stats and the game doesn't understand human emotion. 20-0 is a hell of a score.
I love that they just kept going.
Yeah, so do I.
I mean, it must have been just like a bit of a training game by the end of it, but they just kept going and kept hammering them. And there's some good goals in there as well. I've been trying to catch the highlights today, but I've seen some crackers. Good on them. It's got to be building up the confidence, hasn't it, for them? And
I agree. Yeah,
catching people's eyes in interest as well. Like if you see that, it might tempt you to watch another game now and get you like bring more people in again, which of course is always the aim with the women's game, is to try and encourage them to come and watch again. So not every game is going to be quite so high scoring, or perhaps quite so different in terms of the quality of the opposition and things.
This is it. So
good for them.
Outside of Jewell and Cook, have we got anybody else that we've shared the dugout with?
I don't think so. I did have a look, but no, I don't think so. I hope I'm not missing anybody. I feel terrible if I am, but I just got stuck on. Oh, I hate Paul Jewell. Yeah, didn't get much further than that.
a lot will do. So you sat down with Wigan superfan Angela. Tell the people at home about it and then I'll roll the interview that you had, which was absolutely brilliant, by the way.
Thank you. I really enjoyed doing it. So before, when Martin and I started talking about this show, I was really keen to try and get some opposition fans on. As you know, we've managed to speak to quite a few. Sunderland the other week was great fun. But one of the fans that we spoke to was Angela, who was a Wigan fan. And the reason we caught her quite early on in the season was because I was really interested to speak to her about the way things are going for Cook here and whether that tallies with what they experienced with, and whether the big question really was whether she felt we should give him more time. Obviously, since then we have given him more time, but the question is always on all our lips: how much time? So the chat with her, really, really interesting insight into actually how much they like him. And also what I really loved hearing from her about was their view on Richardson and the almost shock that things have gone so brilliantly for them this year. So listen to that and then see if you're still feeling confident about a win at Wigan, because I definitely wasn't. Hi guys, so I'm here with Angela, who is a Wigan fan. She has been a season ticket holder up until recently when she moved down to Cornwall. We have invited her on to Talking Town to come and chat with us today about Paul Cook. I want to know whether, as somebody who's getting a little bit fed up a little bit too soon, whether I'm being impatient or whether maybe we are missing a bit of the magic that he had when he was at Wigan. So Angela, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
No problem. It's been really lovely to have you on here, and I've been really excited about having you on because there's so much going on at the club at the moment. And as you just said, there's been so much that's gone on at both our clubs in the last couple of years.
Yes.
A bit of turmoil, a bit of excitement, a little bit of everything, really.
Lots of upheaval, yes.
Yes, that's the perfect word for it, actually, isn't it? So this season, you guys seem to have settled down a little bit better than we have so far, but let's come to that later. What I wanted to start off with asking you was about Paul Cook and how you guys view his time with you at Wigan. Do you have fond memories?
Yeah, very fond memories. We loved him, and he saved us in that those last few weeks of the just kind of a year and a half ago now, when it was the first lockdown. All the last matches of the season were being deferred, and we were all kind of running into the summer, and then we went into administration, and he kind of was there for us. And then he did this, what we thought was this amazingly magnanimous thing of kind of falling on his sword. We were going into administration. Everybody from the tea lady upwards was being sacked or being made redundant. And he said, look, I'm one of your biggest outlays at the moment. I'll leave. I'll do this as a kind of magnanimous gesture to save other aspects of the club and to save my wages. I'll go. And he left Liam and went. And we thought, what an amazing guy. That's great. He did this for us. Left Liam in charge. We just about stayed up by the skin of our teeth. And then he went to Ipswich. When did he start at Ipswich? I'm trying to remember.
2021. It was earlier this year, March.
Earlier this year. And we kind of thought, okay, right, well, he's gone on. So this was about the time we were just about staying up at the end of last season, and a hill going really, really down to the wire. Liam kept us up. And then suddenly he started kind of taking people like Sammy Morsey, who were our star players, who were so passionate about the team, and we started thinking, hang on a minute, you made out that you were saving the club, and now you're part of the fire sale. You're taking our best players. What's that about? And then it's disappointing to see that Sammy Morsey isn't even playing in your first team. He kind of gets wheeled out for the odd cup game, but he was our captain, our best player. What's going on there?
Was he having problems with fitness before he got to you? Because when he came to us, I think he was on a what's it called, ban from card. So you're right, he didn't go straight into the first team, but it was because he was suspended. But he has pretty much since, if it makes you feel any better at all, he has pretty much played, although not for the cup game last week, he has played and has made a difference, a massive difference. He came into the team and we beat, if I'm remembering rightly, we beat Lincoln that day, and he just made such a big difference to the team. So totally see why you're sad to let him go.
Yeah, well, I'm glad he's making an impression there. And you seem to have quite a few of our old players, because Lee Evans is your captain now, isn't he? And he played for us. He was on loan, and then he went away, and then he came back properly, and then he went on loan again. So we had him for a few different stints, but he was loved as well. And Christian Walton's with you too now. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Because he seems to be loaned out from everywhere, and he's back at Brighton, loaned back out again.
Cook has definitely brought some of his old players in, and it seems to be sort of using the players that he perhaps trusted from past times, to do what is a massive job at Ipswich, having completely cleared out the whole club over the summer. But that big overhaul has meant we've had to put a lot of trust in him. And I suppose that's what I wanted to ask you was, I tell you what I want to hear from you is about the good times. What did he bring? What did he do for you to make you guys so fond of him?
Well, we got the League One title under him, so I mean that winning the league is kind of as good as it gets. And well, we can talk about the 2013 FA Cup, but that wasn't a Paul Jewell thing. That was a Roberto Martinez thing, which is for maybe a different time. But yeah,
absolutely,
it was an amazing season, that season when we won the League One title, and we just felt like we were flying, and we had this dream team, and we had this group of passionate players led by this really passionate, accessible manager, and I think that was another thing, that he felt really down to earth, and he went out with the lads on the night that they won they won the league at Fleet. They got promotion at Fleetwood. So they went out with the lads, and all the fans and things were all kind of photographed in the nightclubs with him and the chairman and everybody around Wigan that night. And then they were all hungover, and we lost at Bristol Rovers a couple of days later. We'd already won, and we'd already been promoted, but it didn't matter. But standing at the away end, I don't know if you've ever been to Bristol Rovers, but there's no roof on it. It was a Tuesday night, and it was pouring down. Just watching these players.
Oh God, not worth the trip.
Running around the pitch, thinking, "What am I doing here?" But yeah, they deserved it. They had an amazing season that season, and he just seemed like this really great bloke, and there'd be photographs of him kind of away doing the Liverpool away days and things like that. He felt like he was one of us. He was a fan as much as he was the manager, and he just felt really accessible. And I don't know if he's transferred that with you, because I know when he left Portsmouth, it was very much that he wanted to come back up north. He wanted to be near his family in Liverpool. And then, so I don't know what story he gave when he came to Ipswich, whether that was kind of, oh, well, I'm not interested in my family anymore. I can go and live down in Suffolk instead.
Absolutely fascinating. It was a standard, from what I can remember, it was a standard, Ipswich are a big club and I'm excited about doing things here. But and I do think he's been very likable. I think people like him and see him as a good guy. It's just come down to questioning some of his tactical choices, I think, on the pitch. One of the main complaints that we have, I would say, as a fan base, is him not really having a plan B. He tends to leave it quite late for substitutions, and if something doesn't really go right, then if a game's not really going our way, he doesn't seem to have another option. Did you see anything like that when he was at Wigan?
I think that seems to be pretty standard for Wigan managers. Roberto Martinez was criticised for that. Paul Jewell was criticised for that. Well, you've had Paul Jewell as well. You know that.
Yes. I remember those days well. I don't think Paul Jewell even had a plan A, let alone a plan B. But yeah, so I think that's been one of our main concerns. And then, as we just briefly touched on before we started to record, another common worry that is raised by Ipswich fans is that was he perhaps part of his success down to Liam Richardson? And I'd love to hear what you guys think about that.
Well, yes, we all thought that it was their team, their partnership that was this dream team that won us the league and all that. And but this season with Liam on his own, and last season with Liam keeping us up, was amazing. And we started to think, hang on, this might be this guy instead of the other guy, because Liam he made out that he never wanted to be the manager. He always wanted to be assistant manager. He wanted to be the number 2, which is why they brought in, God, mine's gone blank. The manager that came in briefly.
Yes, so I don't know the name, but I knew that you had a caretaker manager in between,
Yeah.
didn't you? Yeah.
It will come
Obviously
to me.
didn't stick in your mind.
It's one of those kind of Malky Mackays and Owen Coyles of the world who we just want to forget about.
Yeah. Some amazing names that you guys have, isn't it? Like in your previous managers, there's some incredible ones. But I did notice, and I know that this is something I always had the impression of with Wigan, is that you
John
do.
Sheridan, sorry.
Of course, yes. I'm sorry. I should have recalled that as well. You guys have had a lot of managers, and I noticed I was Wikipediaing earlier, and it was 8 managers in 10 years for between 2007 and 2017. So it's to me as an Ipswich fan, that seems a lot. Do you think? I mean, for you guys, was Paul Cook given long enough? Was he? I suppose obviously it was his choice to go, but do you think he might have had any more success had he given it a bit longer, or do you think he was given too long, or was the relegation basically down to the deduction?
I think it was a combination of that and the pandemic. It was and us going into administration. So he was kind of doomed by the time he left. He was doomed by all these different outside factors. So I think that his legacy at Wigan is a good one, and he will be remembered fondly. Unlike John Sheridan, Malky Mackay, even Uwe Rösler, Owen Coyle, there are a whole list of people that we'd much rather forget and have been kind of associated with various controversies over the years. I mean, Malky Mackay was still under investigation by the FA because of his racist comments at Cardiff at the time, and if Vincent
I remember that
is calling you a nutter, then Vincent Tan isn't the kind of
there's something wrong.
guys, but something's wrong if even Vincent Tan is criticising you. So. Yeah,
absolutely. So just to go back,
sorry, go on.
No, just to go back to the Richardson Cook relationship, what would you say if this is not too difficult a question to answer? What would you say Cook brought to the relationship, and what would you say Richardson brought to it? What I'm trying to figure out is what we're missing without Richardson, because I think a lot of us, as with you, expected Richardson to come. I personally think that was Cook's original plan, and for whatever reason it didn't pan out, but that's pure speculation on my part. So what are we missing? What difference would it have made, if that makes sense?
I feel like within the partnership, Paul Cook is the leader and Liam Richardson is the brains, the tactics. And Liam Richardson never wanted to be that leader, but then was kind of thrust into that role when the John Sheridan thing just didn't work out. And so he was kind of made manager by default twice. Once when Cook left and he became caretaker manager, and then once when Sheridan left and he was appointed officially the manager. So it almost felt like, oh, all right, then I'll do it, but I don't really want to. I'd much rather be the backroom staff. And found out accidentally that he's actually really good at it and is actually the brains behind it rather than the kind of the face behind it. So yeah, I think that's what it was, that it sort of came about by accident.
Yeah. Absolutely fascinating to hear that, because that would be my criticism. I don't usually favour his tactics. So totally, that really is relatable. So the other question that I wanted to ask you was, when Paul Cook took over for you guys, how long did it take for him to sort of settle into? It only took a year for him to get you promoted. Am I right in thinking?
Yeah. So he settled in really quickly, and I mean, yes, all managers say the right thing when they join, like he said about Ipswich being a big club, and it's always been their boyhood dream to be wherever they are, isn't it?
Exactly.
And yeah, he said the right things, and he came across as a really nice guy, and he got results straight away, and we were all really happy with him, and so he just seemed to slot in really quickly. I mean, especially, I mean. Again, I go back to this liturgy of terrible managers that we've had. The dullness of Warren Joyce, the Bolton connections that came inherently with Owen Coyle, the controversy that came with Malky Mackay, and again, Rosler was he's a good manager, but dull, really. And he didn't really engage with the youth side. He was very much higher up than the club, rather than a hands-on sort of person. And so we'd had a kind of, since Martinez left, we'd had this decade of caretaker managers and terrible choices, and so he was a breath of fresh air of somebody who seemed to be really passionate, exciting, and got the results, and it was great.
That I can relate to that as well, because although actually I don't think Paul Lambert was quite as terrible as some of our previous ones, but we've had Roy Keane, Paul Jewell. We've not had much fun with managers. Even Mick McCarthy, who was incredible for a short amount of time, by the end of it, yeah, exactly. So it feels like Cook has. I would love for him to lift us in the same way that he lifted you.
Yeah.
You said that he managed to get the team playing and getting results pretty quickly. Did he make many changes to the team, or did he just get the team that was already there playing well?
I'm trying to remember. It feels like so much has happened.
Yeah, lifetime ago.
2017 feels like so long ago now. I'm just trying to remember what our team was before he took it on. But yes, I mean, Joyce made a lot of expensive signings that weren't very good, and they were from kind of because his background was at the B teams at Manchester United and the backroom staff at Manchester United, and so he came with a different sort of mindset to bringing something up from grassroots and making a kind of a relatively small club and being part of that whole family that a club is. And you have it with Ipswich. You're being kind of the only club in the county and that sort of thing. You become this kind of network of people with this common trauma in their lives.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely, we do.
And we just didn't seem to get that. The Rosler and coming from City and Joyce coming from United just didn't really get that ethos of the club at all. Whereas Paul Cook did. I mean, Portsmouth would claim that they were a big club and it was a step down to go to Wigan, but we are at a similar level. I mean, we have to admit that we've all had our highs and we've all had our lows, and at the moment we're all back in the same division again. And whatever your fan base is, or your current level, or your past achievements, we are where we are at the moment, and we are the size and the fan base that we have, and we are all in it together. And some managers get that, and some managers don't.
Yeah, and he absolutely did seem to with you guys.
Yeah.
Obviously the recent news for us is that the Peter Reid has been picked finally as somebody to come along and consult for Paul Cook, so perhaps might be able to help with those sides of his game that are missing at the moment. What do you reckon? Do you think that could be a good choice?
Yeah, I think he's a good kind of person to have in your arsenal. You've got just as that kind of high level ambassador for the club, and that advice and mentoring for sometimes, because it must be a lonely job sometimes for a manager, because you do get all the stick and you do get all the blame, and you are the fall guy if it goes wrong for any length of time. And sometimes there are issues that are beyond your control, that are at executive level or at pandemic level or all these other external factors, that you just need somebody on your side to go, yeah, I'm with you, and I'm here, and I'm that ambassador and that ear for you to have a vent out. And I know exactly where you're coming from, because I've been there at various clubs before. So yeah, I think that would be a good thing for him. He was really supportive when we were going through administration. He appeared to be there for the fans and for the club. So yeah, I think that he's a sound guy, and he'll be a great asset to you.
Fantastic. And how about you guys? How are things feeling now after a rather dramatic couple of years?
We're all kind of in a state of shock, I think, because we didn't expect this team of young players and this kind of cobbled together team after the fire sale last year to be, well, we were top of the league until we didn't play because we had international duties at the weekend. I mean, how ridiculous is that? We've just gone down 3 places because we've got 3 games in hand on Plymouth.
Wow. Blimey.
So we all seem a bit kind of shocked, and wow, this feels like we've got our club back again. We've got this new chair, because obviously the Whelan family had owned the club for a long time and been very hands-on. And then to sell to a foreign consortium and it was all very shady what was going on with the whole administration thing, that apparently they sold it to somebody who was already a director, and he put us into administration the day after he bought.
Bonkers.
And it was all, goodness, it'll never fully come out what actually went on. There were all sorts of rumours.
Yeah.
I have a Bahraini chairman who seems to be very hands-on, which seems to be a kind of strange situation to be in, because you expect the sheikh to be like they have at City, who just nobody's ever seen him. But he's been to Wigan and he's tasted the pies, and he's been round the Uncle Joe's mint balls factory, and he tweets how happy he is to meet the fans, and we seem to be living in a parallel universe at the moment.
I can really relate to that with us as well. It's been crazy. So I've just seen that the Guv that Martin messaged earlier when we were talking about Morsey. He had been suspended, so that's why I was right. I was remembering. So that was. Thank you so much for coming and joining me and talking me through all that. I have found so much of what you've said about Cook and about Wigan as a whole has really resonated with me. So, like you say, it's nice to know. It's that phrase that came out in lockdown, isn't it? We may be in different storms, but we're all in the same. We're maybe in different boats, but we're all in the same storm, kind of thing. So it's nice to know that. But the last thing I wanted to ask you before we hand back over to Martin was, I am getting a little bit fed up. I'm definitely sat on the fence over Cook, but I'm starting to. I'm swaying both sides, and especially when we lost to Accrington in the pouring rain 2 weeks ago. No, it really doesn't. It really did not make my day any better. I have my doubts. What do you think? Am I being too harsh and too impatient? Should I give him more time?
I think you should give him more time. I think he'll pick up, and I think having Peter Reid there will boost him. And I think next season, when we're both celebrating going up, and well, we'll have gone up this season, and then you'll come up and join us next season, because we put it in a bit of time. Then we convene and have a joint celebration. And I always have this soft spot for Ipswich. One of my all-time favourite players, Andy Little, was your fitness coach for a long time. And so whenever we came to Portman Road, and we'd always sing the Andy Little song, and he'd wave to us when he was doing the training. And it's affection for Ipswich because of that.
We are a nice club, really, Amy.
Yeah.
Great chat you've had there with Angela. And Andy Little, obviously, is another coach, another connection with Wigan and Ipswich. Have
you been Googling?
No, it was just raised there by Angela. She had the Andy Little song, but great interview. I hope you guys and girls enjoyed it at home. The ground then, Miss Downs. You've been there before, I take it.
Oh, absolutely. It's a regular one for me since I've moved up here.
Thought
I
it
really
would be.
enjoy it. I do.
Do ya?
I do. I love a Lancashire game because they're all so quick for me to get to. And I actually really like the ground. It's fairly modern, I think, but it's not quite in the realm of when they all turned into bowls, like Rotherham and
Oh, yes. Yes,
Doncaster are all exactly the same, aren't they? And Leicester, even though that's bigger, it still just looks the same. But they, it's modern, so it's not like Barnsley where you feel like it's going to fall down in the wind. It feels nice. It's a nice place to go to, but it's not the same old as everybody else. So I enjoy Wigan. Lots and lots of people have replied to me today to say that the best thing about Wigan away is the pies. So I shall be saving my lunch until I get to the ground, and I'm going to grab a pie on the way in, I reckon. So I'm looking forward to that one. But yeah, it's a cracking away day. And as one of the Northern Blues, I think that's going to be one that a lot of us are going to. So I'm really looking forward to seeing me and my friend who lives in just down the road from Wigan. Actually, we're all heading out into Wigan afterwards. So
how are you?
Well, we are.
There you go.
Yeah.
Watch out, Wigan Town Centre. Amy is on the way. Yes, I've never been to the DW Stadium. I've been to the Reebok. I've not been to the DW. For those that perhaps haven't been or need to remind themselves, tickets recently went on sale for Boxing Day, Gillingham away. Is it anything like the stand at Gillingham in the sense of, have we got a roof at the very least to?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's
right?
a really nice ground. To my memory, you're right in front where we are, unless they've got us somewhere different this year. It's right in front of the exec box. So if you're quite high up, you're going to get a decent view. I think we're behind the goal. It is very windy there, but that may just be
up north, isn't it?
Lancashire. Yeah,
up north, isn't it? Yeah, it's always
and
windy and stuff up north.
It is flipping freezing up here at the moment,
Yeah,
so layer up. It's horrible.
That's why I don't venture north of the Watford Gap, because I mean, I had eight layers on at Portman Road last weekend and it was still freezing cold. So
your loss, absolutely your loss. The best away days are up north, I reckon.
Nah, wrong. But I'd love to know what people say in the chat about that. Is the best away days the northern away day? Any story before we go into the pubs and the parking? Did we get any stories of past trips other than pie talk? I mean, I do like pie talk. Anything about the football?
I do actually. I was having a look back through games that I've been to because I've been to quite a few, so I was trying to remember which ones. And there was one back in 2016, which was just an absolute corker. And I did a video of it, and I was watching it back, and you can see on the way there, like we're all a bit don't expect anything. It was 2016, so it was under Mick McCarthy, and he just brought out for an away game. It was a shock. This absolutely shocking lineup, which was for some unknown reason it was attacking, and he had Dizelle playing, he had Ward, he had Barney, he had Johnny Williams, and we were like, oh my god, he's going all out today, which was very rare. Pittman scored, put us 1-0 up, and then the fog just came in.
I remember
we were all expecting, do you remember it? We were expecting it to get called off because it was just so heavy, and weirdly it was like our confidence went at that point. So we were 1-0 up, and we just sort of started sitting back and let them get back into the game. They equalised and then went ahead to be 2-1 ahead, 2-1 up. And then I think it was just after half time, McCarthy did a double sub. Say what you like about him, but he knew what he was doing to change the game, didn't he, when he wanted to? And he brought on McGoldrick and Sears, and the two of them between them just completely changed the game. And we ended up winning. Pittman scored again, and McGoldrick scored the winner. So that was just an absolute beaut. But it was David McGoldrick, absolute super session that day. That can't have been long before he left, actually. But
that was the 17th of December 2016, I believe. 3-2
that sounds about right.
win. That was the 6th game of the last 5. So that was the one I just before the cut-off. That's why I know about it, you see. Since then we've scored 7 and let 1 in. So since then we've tightened up. But yeah, great game.
I had a lovely story as well from Nicola Wall who
Ooh.
shared me a story on Twitter who said, I think it was about 2004, 2005, there was a male streaker. I had my 9-year-old daughter with me and I had to try and explain to her why there was a naked man on the pitch, which
Oh no.
must have been absolutely hilarious.
Oh no.
One of those things you never forget,
Look away.
isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, because
She
no.
said she tried to cover her eyes, but that made it worse because she wanted to see what it was.
You probably could have got away with it. She probably wouldn't have even noticed. But you draw as a parent, you go, no, and they're like, what? Not great. Poor Nicola, poor family. I don't remember. Obviously, I've been to the DW, but I know we've had some history with Wigan, Royal, and Paul. Was it Paul George at the time? Probably would have been. Obviously, they finished second, I think, in the end above us. We finished third. It was us. You got Leighton Baines has won the goal at Portman Road. You've got the game up there. I've got a memory of Joe Rule calling somebody they like to fall like autumn leaves up here, and I don't know if that was about Wigan after the Wigan game, or if I've completely fabricated that Joe Rule saying up in my own head.
That's a beautiful quote. You
I'm
don't get anything quite so poetic normally in football.
No, I don't
Falling
know if
like
I've
autumn leaves.
yes, indicating they perhaps hit the deck a bit easy. If I remember that right, let me know, chat. But like I say, I mean, back in then it would be what 2000, maybe 3, 2, 4. I'd have been very young. Maybe I've made it up. Maybe it's part of my romanticizing of Joe Royal and they're making him this bigger, larger than life, funny character. I don't know. But
It does sound like the kind of thing he would say. I think we have had some interesting games up there in recent years as well. Well, between the two of us, we've had some interesting games, haven't we? It seems to be the away games have all been draws, which fits with what I remember. There was a late, not an early red card for Jonas Knudsen at their place in 2018. Do you remember that? I think I was there, but I don't remember the red card.
No, I don't. But then I don't. Obviously, I wasn't there, so
yeah,
that could have been back in the days of the Saturday highlights instead of, So I don't know. I don't know.
Before the joys of iFollow.
Yes, yeah.
Never thought. When we look back, we realise how lucky we are having iFollow. But yeah, I think for me, looking back on recent results between the two at the DW Stadium makes me think a draw might be on its way. But I'm still nervous.
Which I don't know if that's a bad result in the grand scheme of things. But playing catch up, it could well be a bad result because you can't afford to slip up too many times and throw 2 points away.
Yeah.
The all important subject coming up now, obviously, pubs. Before we do so, don't forget one of our partners on the screen right there next to Amy's green jumper. Beautiful beer for the beautiful game. Awaydatebeers.com. He loved my little Christmas jingle last week. He thought that was very good. Now on the screen, go to awaydatebeers.com for your wonderful alcohol needs this Christmas. The Christmas Essential Pack, Amy, is is already sold out.
Amazing. It looks brilliant.
I think it's probably my impromptu version of the Christmas song last week, but you can still get the Glory Gift Pack 14.
I thought you were going to say it was you. You just bought it all. It's going to be an interesting Christmas in the Lambert household.
I cannot confirm or deny that rumour. You've got the 12 Legends of Christmas, which is still available, $27.99 this one. If I click into it, what do we get as part of that? There's 9 in stock. You get a Christmas Sacca, 2 inch pies, 1 Cat and Mouse collar, 1 Wayne Bruni, 1 Bundeslager, 1 Hershey's hat trick, 1 Robo Crouch, Alan Shearer, Hobby Robson, Pushers Bandage, and a Fighting Like Beavers. So get involved for all your Christmas beer from awaydatebeers.com. Away day pubs then, Amy. What have we got? How's the serving up north?
Absolutely sorted at Wigan. There are so many. So if you're catching the train, like I have done many times, you get out of the train station and you head in onto the main street, the main high street, and there's loads. Wetherspoons is an easy walk, not too far away. I'm just checking what that one was called. That's called Moon Underwater. I swear all Wetherspoons are called Moon Underwater. There's one called that in Watford as well that's good for away days. There's one called the Berkeley, which is just opposite the road from the train station. I think that's the one we like. And there's also a new sports bar called Anderton's. So my friend Alan lives just down the road from Wigan, hence us making it our big night out. And
sorry, every time.
So
every time
he's
you said that.
recommended the sports bar. He says it looks like a doorway, but when you go upstairs, it's a really decent bar that serves food and has sports on the telly. So and a pool table. So what a great place.
But do you want the
Well,
food?
this is true.
The ground is so good. Maybe you'll be like me, have two meals. I don't know.
Personally, I'll be waiting for the pies for sure.
Yeah. So you got a couple of good pubs there.
Thanks.
And obviously, being where it is, I'd imagine the Owl on tap is probably going to be superb.
Yeah, definitely.
Real ale drinkers, I imagine, in that neck of the woods. Just like me, to be honest. Parking though, if you were driving, obviously not drink driving, but if you were driving and you wanted to park, how easy is that? For the game.
It's, to my memory, Wigan's actually one of the better ones for parking. There is a really big car park at the stadium. From experience, that's where most Ipswich fans will park. But I have it because I wanted to go into town to meet friends. Last time I went, I parked at the train station. It's a really decent car park, multi-story. It just feels really safe. You know your car's going to be all right. There's cameras everywhere, and I'm often a little bit nervous, as we've spoken about. I'm often a little bit nervous walking back to a car park on my own, but that one felt absolutely fine because it was really well lit and lots of people. So a nice one, and that's about the train station's about a 20-minute walk to the ground. There's not a lot near the ground in terms of like pubs, so I would get your drink on in the town centre and then walk for a bit to sober up enough to get through the stewards.
Yeah.
I mean, not that that's what I'll be doing.
No, of course not. 20-minute walk. I think it's called the Northwestern train station. I think it's £4 for Saturdays. So, which you'd
really reasonable.
Yeah, and if a bit more than that, I do apologise. But I think from the website, I can gather it's about £4. The daily rate, according to the website, is only £12. So you can't be too much in between the two, really, can it? Yeah. So that's the parking, that's the pubs. This is an away day guide that's been done and dusted, Amy.
Very quickly.
Oh, mate, 25 minutes. Obviously, we had Andrew's interview as well. We're putting these together. They're good. And the Charlton one got a lot of fan submissions, a lot of fan suggestions off the back of it. I know Sarah Davis put something on Twitter, having watched the away day guide about, I think it was a pub or a parking location.
Perfect.
And that's what we want, isn't it?
Yeah, that was the whole idea of it, was to be able to share each other's experiences, tips, memories from the days as well. Actually, as we talk about it, it's just popped into my head that somebody else shared one on Twitter. I think his name was Steve. He said last time his overriding memory of Wigan is his mate dropped his phone and it bounced down every single step on its way to the bottom, and all of the away fans were watching it and cheering as it got to the bottom, and it had not a crack upon it. So that was
wow.
It's just one of those random stories that you always remember from these lovely away trips, don't you? Like,
not like that then.
Oh my goodness, that's a bad one.
Yep, I know. That's been dropped many times, but it's still going. It's still going. Yeah.
Doesn't matter as long as you can still send messages, does it?
Well, if you just tilt the screen a little bit, you can eventually see what the word is. It's true. But no, I love it. I absolutely love it. And yeah, we'll welcome any fan submission. But the next one is Gillingham, the Boxing Day away day guide. That's going to be interesting and fun. We'll record that next week and get it out next Thursday. Then it's Wimbledon. And then we can put our feet up, Amy, for a couple of weeks for Christmas.
Lovely jubbly. That'll be really nice. Have you got plans for Christmas?
Just eating lots, drinking lots, and watching silly telly, really.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, same. It's we rotate it, so it's Christmas at each set's parents, and then the third one is at home. So we will have the four of us plus the in-laws coming round for dinner, for lunch. But either side of it, there'll be just us eating and drinking a lot, I suspect. So
I'm hosting as well. Yes, I'm hosting my side. But perfect. All right, we're done. We're dusted. Lead us out, and then I'll end recording. Yeah,
absolutely. So looking forward to the Gillingham away day show. I really hope that you guys will give us a hand with that one, because that's not one I've been to, so I would definitely need all of your help. Thank you so much for joining us, and I think I rested on the Anchorman finishing line of follow the town